Good afternoon. I am Natalie K. Smith-Benson, the proud principal of Stephanie Tubbs Jones School. And on behalf of the Cleveland Metropolitan School District, my scholars, and my staff, we would like to welcome you to this joyous occasion. It is an honor and a privilege to be with you today and to serve as the first principal of a school named after Congresswoman Stephanie Tubbs Jones. Congresswoman Stephanie Tubbs Jones was an illustrious graduate from the Cleveland Public Schools. Her accomplishments as a county and municipal judge, the first Black prosecutor in Ohio, and the first Black woman from Ohio elected to the U.S. House of Representatives make her a role model whose legacy can serve as a powerful inspiration for our scholars. Again, I would like to welcome you, and we hope you enjoy this historic day, just like the woman for whom this building is named. Thank you. I am now pleased to introduce our district's Chief Executive Officer, Eric Gordon. You don't want me to do your bio? Nope.
Good afternoon, everyone. Ooh, we can do a lot better than that. Good afternoon, everyone. That sounds like a Stephanie Tubbs Jones good afternoon. So Principal Smith-Benson, thanks so much for hosting us today. We have an official order of duty that needs to occur. I have, I think, a shirt for every school in the city, but I do not yet have my Stephanie Tubbs Jones shirt. So we need to take care of that right away. All right. I am going to be very brief because we have a really great panel of guests that want to speak on this important occasion today. But I want to start by just recognizing a number of dignitaries that I noticed were able to join us today, and not in a particular order because I was scribbling down as I saw you come in. But we have with us today our State Board of Education member, Merle Johnson. Merle, if you'd be recognized. And Merle is a retired Cleveland teacher. We also have a CMSD board member with us, Dr. Nigama Schrader. Dr. Schrader, thank you for being here. We have County Councilwoman Meredith Turner in the audience. Ms. Turner, thank you for being here. You'll also be hearing from County Councilwoman Yvonne Conwell and City Councilman Kevin Conwell. And Kevin reminded me the best name. I believe State Representative Upchurch is with us today also. So, oh, there you are. Thank you for being here. And State Senator Dale Martin, did he make it? Maybe not, maybe on the way. And then we also have our former councilman, Jeff Johnson, is with us, I saw today too. Councilman, thank you for being here. So we have a very full program with dignitaries behind me that you will get introduced to momentarily. And then we'll be doing a ribbon cutting to make it official that this is now Stephanie Tubbs Jones School right here in the Glenville neighborhood. So to move into the program, it is really my honor to introduce Mervyn Jones, who is the son of Stephanie Tubbs Jones, who will actually kick off our program.
Eric, sorry, I'm tall. Eric, thank you again for the introduction. Everybody who is here today, thank you for taking the time out of your day. Right now, I'll be picking up Stephanie, who's right there from school, from Greenview and South Euclid. And I know plenty of you need to have bypassed that and was able to be here with us. Councilman Conwell, Council President Blaine Griffin, thank you so much for helping this go through. You have been striving for this for so long, and I'm happy to be here for it and be a part of the process. I'm looking forward to a whole lot more coming from this area, from where I grew up. On to my mother, the real star of the show here. Eddie Rode, Miles Standish, Colin Wood, Case Western Reserve. Case Western Reserve again for graduate school. To Congress, back to Cleveland, to where she finally rested her head. This is a full circle moment. For those who didn't know, my mother had a group of girls that she parented and mentored for years. And after she passed, they became my sisters. I stay in touch with as much of them as I can today, and they are doing well. Some are nurses, some are police officers, other first responders, they're parents. They're doing great things in this neighborhood and in this country. Moving forward, from all the hard work that my mother had laid out, this is what has come from it. Education, as my mother once said, isn't just about schools and books, buildings, athletics. It's about community. You have respect for your teachers have respect for you, you have a trust. And the name Patrick Henry didn't qualify for that here in Cleveland, Ohio. If you look in the history books, Patrick Henry stands for slavery, bigotry, hate against people that look like us on a regular basis. Right here in this moment, this is where things have turned around immensely. Sorry, my phone keeps on locking on me. Congresswoman, thank you again for everything you've done. All the red here in the sea, including my wife, Ajua, the Deltas, you have showed up. Thank you again. You've always been sisters, aunties, and everything else above board. Mayor Bibb, thank you again for everything. I remember when you interned for my mother, man, long time ago. And look where we're at now. This is all about education and breeding the next generation. He's perfect proof of that. Chantel's perfect proof of that. Her father used to train me in basketball so many years ago. And this is what the community and education is all about. And this is what I wanted to say thank you to the community. As much as I am not here, I am here. And if you ever need me for anything, thank you again for welcoming me home. Thanks again.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. And now I have the pleasure of introducing Congresswoman Chantel Brown.
Thank you, Principal Benson. Sorry, I'm a little taller than you too. Good afternoon, everybody. Oh, come on, we can do much better than that. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much, and thank you, Merv. I do have some prepared remarks, but I just want to say, as a proud graduate of Cleveland Public Schools, I went to Whitney M. Young. We had an outstanding name to start with. My Warriors are in the house. But today is such an amazing privilege to be able to come before you and celebrate a pillar of this community who has done so much for so many. So again, greetings. It is an honor to join you all on this beautiful day for the Stephanie Tubbs Jones School ribbon cutting. It means so much to celebrate this special day with Mervyn and Stephanie, Mayor Bibb, Chief Executive Officer Eric Gordon, and the Cleveland Metropolitan School District, again, which I am a proud product of. Councilman Kevin Conwell, my former colleague, Councilwoman Conwell, and the Glenville community, as well as all of the close friends and colleagues, and I just gotta acknowledge the Deltas, and the friends of Congresswoman Tubbs Jones. Today's vision began in 2008, and I'm sure you'll hear more about this from Councilman Conwell, because he introduced the legislation to change the school's name to honor his friend, and I would say our friend, who proudly served Ohio's 11th congressional district until her passing that year. Now, although Councilman Conwell received some resistance, he remained steadfast because he recognized scholars deserve to proudly walk through the halls of a school that bears a name associated with excellence and the name of a woman who consistently and constantly fought for justice and democracy, and most importantly, for the people of the 11th Congressional District. Thank you. Today is truly a historic day of celebration for scholars and the Glenville community as we commemorate the first Black woman from Ohio elected to the U.S. House of Representatives, a proud Cleveland Public School alumni and champion for education. Let her name continue to remind us that we are standing on the shoulders of giants who fought tirelessly to see so many of us succeed. And we are changed with the carrying of the baton of excellence and passing it off to the next generation as they prepare for the next leg of this race. Thank you so much, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. And next, I have the pleasure of introducing our mayor, Mayor Bibb. That's you.
Thank you so much. I just first want to acknowledge the resilience of this man, Mervyn Jones. You know, as y'all know, I'm real close to my mama, Mama Bibb. And a mother's love can never be broken. And so, Mervyn, we are counting on you, and we thank you for your leadership and your strength. There's a lot that I'll remember from the late Congresswoman Stephanie Tubbs Jones. I'll remember that she was a proud and faithful member of Delta Sigma Theta, by the way. I'll remember this big, bold smile that could light up any room she walked in. But the biggest thing I remember is her loyalty. And I'll never forget this story. It was the height of the 2008 campaign for the Democratic nomination for president. And as you know, Congresswoman Jones was a big supporter and fighter for Hillary Clinton. And she got pressure from across the country to support the brother, Barack Obama. And until she passed away, she always stood by Secretary Clinton because she was loyal to the end. She was loyal to her district, and she was loyal to the city of Cleveland. That's her legacy. Let's remember that, but also let's remember that she laid the pathway for our Secretary of Housing, Marcia Fudge, and one of America's brightest stars, our Congresswoman, Chantel Brown. And so for the young people that are here today, know that you stand on the shoulders of giants. And as your mayor, I'm counting on you, and the city of Cleveland is counting on you to live up to the legacy of Congresswoman Stephanie Tubbs Jones. Let's keep fighting for justice. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor Bibb. Next, I would like to introduce Council President Blaine Griffin.
Good afternoon. Come on now, we're here for a great day. You guys could do better than that. Good afternoon. We're here to celebrate STJ, Stephanie Tubbs Jones, and if you can't get excited about that, I don't know what you can get excited for. Merv doesn't know this, but back in the early 2000s, Stephanie Tubbs Jones adopted me. I'm serious. She actually took a lot of us under her wing, and what she did is she taught us the ethics and moral values of what it took to be a public servant. She had an electrical smile that could light up a room, as Mayor Bibb just said, but she also always knew where she came from and never would forget it. She would always be able to connect the boardroom and the streets and be the master translator of the causes that were important to people every day, but make sure that she also went to the halls of Washington to advocate for those same people who she know that she came from. She was educated, she was book smart, but she was also street smart. Stephanie has always done a masterful job of training the next generation. Never would I have thought, one of Stephanie's pupils, as I am, that I would be the bridge to working with other generations to bring new generations to the next level. So it's an honor and a privilege to be here today. I actually had a few other things on my calendar, but I thought it was extremely important for me to be here today so that we could witness Black excellence, or just excellence, period, of who Stephanie Tubbs Jones was. I also want to take a very brief moment to just acknowledge the resilience and commitment that my colleague, Kevin Conwell, showed to make this happen. Congresswoman Brown is right. There was a lot of headwinds coming our way when he first said we shouldn't be naming schools after slaves. And then he lobbied the school board, but then he took it a step further and said, we're going to show young Black men and women in this city what excellence looked like by naming this school after Stephanie Tubbs Jones. So it's an honor and a privilege to be here today. And Councilman Conwell, to you and Councilwoman Conwell, thank you guys so much, because today is a proud moment for the entire city of Cleveland, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Blaine. And now I have the pleasure of introducing Ms. Ruth Rollins, who is the president of the Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated. Thank you.
To Eric S. Gordon, the CEO of the Cleveland Metropolitan School District, to Ann E. Bingham, the board chair, Robert Hurd, the vice chair of the Board of Education, and to other members of the Board of Education, to Natalie Smith Benson, the principal of Stephanie Tubbs Jones School, and to the vice principal, to the numerous teachers in this school, to Congresswoman Chantel Brown, to Mayor Justin Bibb, to Councilman Kevin Conwell, and to County Councilwoman Yvonne Conwell, to Blaine, President of the Council, to the family of Stephanie Tubbs Jones, Mervyn, and her daughter-in-law, the illustrious members of Delta Sigma Theta sorority, to all of our distinguished visitors whom I have not named, and friends, and graduates of this school, including my husband. I am Ruth Price Rollins, and I bring you greetings from the Greater Cleveland Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated, where I serve as president. I am so honored and so humbled to be invited to stand before you on this celebratory day, and I thank you for the opportunity. I have one of my favorite coffee mugs with me. I even brought it. And printed on this mug is "Bloom where you are planted." You like that? Bloom where you are planted. There's something that's left off of this mug because once you're planted, you have to grow before you begin to bloom. Stephanie Tubbs Jones was planted right here in Cleveland in this very neighborhood, and she did grow. She sprouted in the Cleveland Metropolitan School District and continued growing at Case Western Reserve, where she earned her degree in sociology, minoring in psychology, and where she also earned her law degree. We are so proud that she became a member of the Greater Cleveland Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority on April the 2nd, 1982, while she was serving as a municipal court judge. You probably have already heard somewhere along the line that Stephanie Tubbs Jones was appointed to the County Court of Common Pleas, and she was a Delta. She was elected as the first African-American county prosecutor and the only Black female prosecutor in an urban area in this country, and she was a Delta. She served in Congress with numerous assignments, including being the first Black woman who held a seat on the prestigious Ways and Means Committee, still continuing to grow. And she was a Delta. She just continued to grow in all of her accomplishments, which were many, and she was a Delta. I am certain that her memory will be an inspiration to all the students who pass through these doors, as well as students in this entire school district. She represents to these students that they too can be a congresswoman or a congressman or a mayor. Stephanie Tubbs Jones leaves a legacy that will encourage these students that they can have any career they choose. She was a woman who strived to improve health care for all and the education and welfare of children. And those are some of the thrust of our programming in Delta Sigma Theta. Oh yes, she was a servant leader. She was a Delta, and her sorors here in Greater Cleveland, where she was planted, are so very proud to have watched her grow, and we are honored that this school now bears her prestigious name. Stephanie Tubbs Jones will remain vibrant in our hearts, as well as this community where she was planted, where she grew, and where she bloomed. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Ms. Rollins. Our next guest speaker is Cuyahoga County Councilwoman from District 9, Meredith M. Turner. Please welcome her.
I would like to ask if you have ever volunteered on one of the Congresswoman's campaigns or worked in any of her offices, prosecutor, judge, or congresswoman. Could you please stand and be recognized? That should be everybody. All right. Thank you. And I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge Dr. Betty Pinckney that's sitting here in the front row that served as her director for many years. Good afternoon. I'm Councilwoman Meredith Turner, District 9. So happy and humbled to succeed our Congresswoman Chantel Brown. To the students that welcomed us when we came in, let's give them a round of applause. Yes. Councilman Conwell, thank you so much for the opportunity to work on this project with you. It was my heart's work. Thank you, sir. To the leaders of the Cleveland Metropolitan School District, members of the school board, President Hurd, CEO Eric Gordon, Dr. Lee Buddy Jr., thank you for inviting me to be present at this most important event, the dedication of the Stephanie Tubbs Jones School of Higher Learning. Oh, I think I added that part. I am reminded daily of the impact that the late Congresswoman had on my life. I love her. Being here for this historic occasion gives me the opportunity to share that I miss, probably like you, Stephanie Tubbs Jones, as a leader, as a friend, as a mentor and role model, as a sorority sister, and as a voice for those who were often ignored by society. Her leadership was so important to all she met. Her life and legacy will be an inspiration for generations to come. I am proud to have called STJ my friend. She had an enormous presence and that could not be overlooked. You always knew when she was in the room. Her beauty, high energy, dynamic personality, quick wit, and beaming smile simply could not be ignored. To say she was charismatic is a drastic understatement, and anyone who met her would surely agree. Outlining STJ's biography and list of accomplishments would take way too much time, and we've heard many of them already. Those of us who were fortunate to interact with Stephanie know that she was a woman of faith, passion, and commitment. Her family always came first. She may have been prosecuting a high-profile criminal case or chairing a committee in Washington, D.C. But if her man-child, Mervyn Jr., had a game or a school event, you can rest assured that she would be there for her son. As her time in the public eye extended, we all practically watched Mervyn grow up right before our eyes. Her pride and joy, she outwardly doted on him. And as part of her extended village, we continue to celebrate his accomplishments in her absence. At any of her campaign events, her parents and her sister Barbara were always nearby and beamed with pride at her accomplishments. And her love for her husband, Mervyn Sr., was absolute. Despite her high local, state, national, and international profiles, her family and sorority were always the focal point of her life. I am a proud member of the Greater Cleveland Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a national public service sorority for Black women dedicated to scholarship, sisterhood, service, and social action. I am honored to have had Stephanie as a mentor, and I am humbled by the fact that she wrote my letter of recommendation. Delta Sigma Theta is over 100 years old and has members and chapters around the globe. From its birth and through its infancy and beyond, fighting for women's right to vote, participating in the civil rights movement, to the advocacy of women's health initiatives and advanced educational opportunities, Deltas all over the world have been at the forefront of so many issues important to Black women, our families, and our communities. Congresswoman Stephanie Tubbs Jones embraced me and showed me that Black women working together cannot be stopped. Her insistence, persistence, commitment to justice and excellence and leadership are beacons for me and the public service career I have chosen. I am proud to call her my role model. I had never seen it. If I had never seen it, I could have never believed I could be it. I thank her for allowing me to be a part of her journey, this journey of womanhood, Delta, and service. But apart from all of the firsted and all of her accomplishments, she was a proud Clevelander. While her family and her work occupied much of her time, she never forgot her Cleveland roots. She proudly referenced her graduation from Collinwood High School and boasted of her days as a railroader. It was the city of Cleveland and its schools that laid the foundation for Stephanie to achieve all of her life's successes. And she never forgot where she came from, and she took all of us along wherever she went. I know we wish we all had more time with Stephanie, just one more of her home-cooked meals on Wade Park. But God had a different plan for her, and I am sure that she is looking down with pride as the Cleveland School is named in her honor. Her name will live on as future generations of Cleveland students learn about her life and accomplishments. And while that is important, I am positive that she would say that the most important thing that came from this school renaming is that future generations of students will see her accomplishments and say that they can too achieve excellence. All of us can't be lawyers or judges or congresspeople, but we can do our best to succeed in this gift called life. Although there are other edifices, structures, programs, awards, events honoring her, STJ would be proud to see this school named in her honor and would be even prouder of the successes that the future graduates of this school will achieve in coming years. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. Now I have the pleasure of introducing Reverend Charles P. Lucas, who is a 1956 graduate of Patrick Henry School, and he is the pastor emeritus of my church, St. James AME. So let's welcome Reverend Lucas.
Thank you very much. I wanted to take a moment to recognize the principal, and not just because I used to be her pastor, but she has such a wonderful love for education. And let's give our principal another great big hand today. I think some of it might also come from her wonderful mother, Mrs. Alma Smith, who was an educator in her own right during her time as a teacher here. Mrs. Smith is here today. I want to recognize my Congress lady. I live in her district, and I want to also pay a good tribute to my mayor, who by his direction and appointment, I serve as the chairperson of the Community Relations Board and the president of the Board of Trustees of RTA. And to the rest of the Congress people that are here, council people that are here, like Blaine and Conwells and so forth, I bring you greetings. I also want to take a second to ask, for all of the people that are here, whoever went to Patrick Henry, won't you stand? You went to Patrick Henry. Any Patrick Henry, here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. I also want to recognize the pastor of St. James AME Church, Reverend Dr. Eric Brown, who's here. Give him a hand as well. And since we don't want to ever leave our family, I recognize these wonderful sorors, my mother's great sorority of Delta Sigma Theta, and my dear son, Jason Lucas, who's the president of Lucas Funeral Home. She gave me a few more years. It was actually 1953 that I came to Patrick Henry Junior High School. At that time, it was 95% white and 5% they called other. And you know who the other was. We were the other. They didn't even want to recognize our name at that time. Racism was so tough. We had some of the teachers who even told us, the white teachers, I'm waiting my transfer to go to the West Side because I don't want to teach an integrated class. The first day that I was here, fresh seventh grader, they had sections at that time, 1, 2, 3, and so forth. And I was fortunate enough to be in section 1. There were 5 black students in that class. But we wanted to show them that we deserved to be there. So I was raising my hand, and this white boy sitting next to me touched me, and he pulled out a knife, and he hit the knife, and the stiletto and the blade jumped out. He says, if you raise your hand one more time, I'm going to stab you right here. And I sat there and I thought for a minute. I said, I don't see any ambulances out here. I don't hear anybody being stabbed around here, so I'm going to take a chance. And I put my hand up one more time. And he called me the N-word, but that's all I needed. I raised my hand to everything that was going on. It was from that time, the teachers who were so good to us, some of you sorors remember Chantel Brown. Canella, that was her first teaching experience, her first year. And she encouraged us. And she encouraged me to run for student council. And I ran for treasurer and was elected. And the next year, I ran for president. And in this old white school, they had a black president of the student council. And let me tell you, I was as black as I could be. And I took charge of Patrick Henry Junior High School. And then we had some teachers like Charles Kellogg. And Councilman, you remember John Kellogg, his brother was a teacher here. And he took us, you remember, down to City Hall. And that's when I got my first taste of what legislative stories were all about. And he encouraged us to be community activists and be a part of city government. And then we had some Jewish teachers who let us really know about the real Holocaust. And their parents had been survivors and others that had happened in the Holocaust. We had a great, great, great education here. And some people might have thought, well, with all that against you, how were you able to push ahead? Well, often through my life, I've said, thanks to Patrick Henry, I was able to go up to the mountain and say, move out of my way, because I know how to read and I know my ABCs, and I can conjugate a few Latin, I can speak French, and the best thing is, I'm a child of the living God. And then finally, every year they had Fun Day. And the Fun Day, we went out to Euclid Beach Park. Though if you remember, Euclid Beach had the roller coaster and fairgrounds, but they also had a big skating rink. But blacks could not skate on the skating rink. So here are all of our little classmates with their roller skates, and they were rolling around, but we couldn't go on it because they didn't want a black boy or a white girl to be skating together. Well, some years later, I became a part of a protest movement, and we went out to Euclid Beach. A lot of people thought Euclid owned it, but it was owned by the Humphreys Company. And we picketed it and we blocked the entrance so people couldn't get in. And they lost the money and they met with us and they opened it up. And I went in, I couldn't even skate, but I went on there and skated around that day. And I remembered when at Patrick Henry I had to watch the white kids skate. And now we opened it up. All that came out of Patrick Henry. Now finally, they often say that people turn over in their graves. Well, I'm just being a little spiritual now, but I'm wondering in Virginia, if old Patrick Henry, comfortable in his grave, all this time because this school was named after him. And that famous speech of his, give me liberty or give me death, had nothing to do with black people. And then he was a lawyer. And now all of a sudden, there's a name change. A lawyer, but a black lawyer. And not only a black woman lawyer. So I don't think Pat is turning over in his grave. I think he's spinning in his grave today. And I don't know if there's anybody here that wants to say thank you, Jesus, today for this great school, for this great administration. Praise the Lord. From one who was here 70 years ago. Hallelujah. Praise his holy name.
Lucas. Thank you, Reverend Lucas. So now I have the pleasure of introducing a CMSD Board of Education member, Mr. Robert Hurd.
Everybody's taller than you today. I thought I was going to be the oldest graduate from Patrick Henry on the panel today. 56, 66, 10 years later. Hazeldale, Patrick Henry, Glenville. Yeah. And as someone said before, you will get planted where you will grow where you're planted. I think I'm a testament to that philosophy. I was planted here in Glenville. I grew here in Glenville. I still live in Glenville. I just want to take some time to acknowledge and thank some people. Number one, Councilman Conwell. I can now cut my grass in peace. The councilman and I living in the same neighborhood, as did Stephanie. And it sometimes feels disrespectful to call her Stephanie, but she was that kind of person. You heard the old saying about never met a stranger. I lived in the same neighborhood as her. I know I run into her on occasion, and she may not remember my name, but she made me feel like we've known each other for ages. We live down the street from one another. So, Councilman, thank you for keeping this issue in front of the Board of Education. Also, I want to take some time to thank the community members that are here today, because the Board of Education does not do these things in a vacuum. We went to the community and said, what do you want? And I see some community members here in the audience that probably were at those meetings. And the community said, we want this school named after Stephanie Tubbs Jones. And a recommendation was brought to the Board of Education by our CEO, and it passed unanimously. We're going to do some more schools. We're not done yet. Also, before I leave, I just want to say thanks to the ladies in red. I have a couple of fraternity brothers here today. I'm a Kappa, so I could tell you a whole lot of stories about Deltas and Kappas at Ohio State, but that's a whole different meeting. But I appreciate you. I thank what you do in the city of Cleveland, state of Ohio, and in America as a whole. I keep an eye on what's going on in our Greek organizations. So thank you. Thank you to the community that helped us get to this day, and we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hurd. And next, we would like to invite Councilman Kevin Conwell and his wife, County Council Representative Yvonne Conwell.
Thank you very, very much. We have a plaque here, but I want to say some words real quick. I'll be fast here. I see you looking at me. And then you got Barbara Norton over there to yank me out. Where's she at? But you know what I really don't like this occasion? I gotta say it. We need to change the color of these balloons. Don't you agree? Orange and black. I mean, I dig the black. What about changing it to red and white? You know, the color's red and white. And we bring the sisters over here. Don't you agree? Red and white is a great color. You change the name, we change the color, and then as a symbol next, we'll look at that as well to change that too, so the children will be able to see it. I mean, that's cool beans, man. I like writing policy, and this policy here touched me a great deal. I woke up this morning, y'all don't tell nobody, they'll keep it real secret. Council members Joe Jones and Blaine, don't tell nobody. I woke up this morning in tears. I sit back and I thought about this policy and legislation, and your mother and Mama Tubbs and Daddy Tubbs on Rutland. You know, they put us in office, your people did. And Stephanie told me, take care of my mama, councilman. Don't you mess up. You know how your mother looked people straight in the eyes, but she wasn't smiling like Chantel right now. She was serious looking at me. It was over at the old Forest Hill Parkway. I remember that. You said, you know the look, you know the look. But I woke up this morning and I was in tears. Y'all cut that out, I was in tears crying. And the reason why I was crying, because I was able to see, hold this there for a minute. You know how little children see you, Mayor Bibb, and they see a person that looks just like them, and they know they can do it. I was able to see to my children, I love the children that's in my community a great deal. And then young girls will be able to see and able to write about someone that looks just like their mother. And when they look at Stephanie, they see their mother. And then they could dream to be a doctor or a dentist or a lawyer or a scientist or a councilman or architect or whatever the case may be. You can't see that with Patrick Henry. Why you have my people in bondage? He had my people in slavery. But you can see that with Stephanie Tubbs Jones, someone that looked just like their mother. Man, that's a great thing. That's a great thing. That's great. You looking at someone and you writing a story about Stephanie Tubbs Jones, and you go home and you say, Mama, and she said, what did you do today? As Stephanie Tubbs Jones, I wrote about someone that looked just like you, Mama. That's good. Mother-daughter bonding, mother-son bonding. These things is important to my children and my community. So we talk about Stephanie, and the same thing Council President Blaine Griffin mentioned. He said, that's a cool piece, man, because now my children will be able to see that. And I really mean it. Hey, Bob, how you doing? Doctor, so I really mean it, and it really means a great to me. And the people in my neighborhood, I walk my community all the time, and people were saying, I like that, Councilman. I like that. You know, we were saying it. It was really, really good. So that's important. I want to thank the school board. I want to thank you, Eric, for listening over and over and over again, and me knocking on your door. Just like Hurd said, he couldn't cut his grass. I'm there persistent. Just as persistent as a certain person that was running for mayor. He never stopped. That little train that could. So I want to thank you very, very, very much. That's true. We have a plaque, Mr. Mayor, Eric, the county.
Can I say my words?
Sorry. She got me, Barbara. I was ready to get on the road.
All right, I wanted to say good afternoon to the students, to the community, to the dignitaries, and the Delta Sigma Theta. We've heard similar words, but there is nothing more fitting than to change the name of a school that held former slaveholders and racial oppressors' names blatantly displayed and regurgitated out of the mouths of teachers, students, and parents every time they must mention where they went to work, where they went to school, or where their children attended school. A name of a school, as you heard from so many prolific people today, is a learning environment for any child, regardless of their color, sex, or religion, should reflect a community leader whose work embodied a fight for change, for everyone to be treated with dignity and have opportunities for growth. The path that late former Congresswoman Stephanie Tubbs Jones, STJ, led while in Congress from 1999 to 2008 reflected a body of work that you heard from so many today that is most fitting for the children that are walking these halls to stand proud when they say the name of their school they attend. Stephanie stood for what was right. She was not afraid to speak out for what she felt was right, or to her neighbors if they were doing something wrong. In the Glenville community, she was an advocate in Congress. She was our neighbor, she was our friend. I feel that the children that walk these halls will feel her synergy from above to achieve their futures, educational goals, and possibly choose a path in public service, prosecutor or judge, or whatever they choose. So I'm proud to now say my daughter and my mom, who graduated from the Stephanie Tubbs Jones Leadership Academy. So me and Councilman Conwell would like to present, Mervin, if you could come up, we'd like to present a plaque.
Eric. Council members.
Everybody. Not only will we have this plaque that we will give to Mervin and young Stephanie, but we will also give one to the school to stand and be held wherever they so choose to put it.
Mr. Mayor.
For the students, as so many of our dignitaries spoke about today, for them to remember and see the synergy that our Congresswoman in this, late former Congresswoman in this area did and what they can achieve. And to watch their current elected officials and know that they have, my colleague Meredith said, maybe not public service, but public service is something from the heart. And there's a lot of people and students out here that have things from the heart. They might not want to play baseball or football or something like that. They might want to give back to their community. And that's what we're looking for. So without further ado, we present this plaque to you in honor of your mom.
Thank you so much. Again, to everybody who made this possible, thank you again. This means so much. Stephanie, I'm happy you're here to share this with us because this is your legacy now.
Get me to start crying.
Oh, no, for sure. And my commitment to the school is we are going to work with the Historical Society to get some more artifacts here. I will be sending some from home, from my personal collection, for here to be in the display. And we want to make sure that the students who are in the back, those who are remaining, and the staff, you are here because this community needs you. This community wants you, and that's where you want to be, where you're wanted and where you're needed. So thank you again, Councilman Conwell, the County Council, Eric, thank you so much again. You've been a resource for so long. All of you have been. Thank you again for the time. Mayor Bibb, see you soon. We'll see you soon for sure. If you want to say anything here. All right. So, Council, good? All right, y'all leaving this up to me. So thank you.
So here's what we need. We need the loudest 1, 2, 3 so that Stephanie hears us from her place in heaven when we count down and name this school Stephanie Tubbs Jones School. On the count of 1, 2, 3. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here for this historic moment for our district and our community. Please stay and enjoy the reception afterward, including Councilman Kevin Conwell and the Footprints, who will be bringing entertainment. Thank you again for coming and celebrating the Stephanie Tubbs Jones School. Have a great afternoon.